started summer of 2020, right when COVID started, right? So the way that came about, I had a regular job, and what happened when COVID happened, they started cutting into my hours. So I was making less money, and naturally I was looking for an extra way to make more money. So remember my cousin started selling on Amazon. And I remember one day he showed me his sales, and he did like $300 in sales in one day. And I was mind blown. I was like, what? You sold $300?
E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation.
What's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Ecom Unlimited podcast. It's your host, Kaj, here with Josh. And today we have on our friend, Rudy. How you doing, brother?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. It's nice to be here.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Yeah. So as you guys know, on this podcast, we interview people who are selling products on the internet. Mainly right now, we're interviewing people who are selling predominantly on Amazon, as that's the space that we operate in the most ourselves. And Rudy has been selling on Amazon since when?
Summer of 2020. So this summer coming up will make it 4 years, which is crazy.
December of 2020. Yeah. So take us back to the beginning. How did you find out about Amazon? What method were you using when you first get it started? And just what's your story?
Yeah, man. So I started summer of 2020, right when COVID started, right? So the way that came about, I had a regular job. And what happened when COVID happened, they started cutting into my hours. So I was making less money, and naturally I was looking for an extra way to make more money. So I remember my cousin started selling on Amazon. And I remember one day he showed me his sales, and he did like $300 in sales in one day. And I was mind blown. I was like, what? You sold $300? Like, people are actually buying this stuff and it's working. So I signed up right away, like the same day. And started off selling books, just hustling, going to the dollar stores, the thrift stores, buying books. Honestly, it was quite of a grind, quite of a hustle. In that process as well, I was going into Walmart's, looking at the clearance section, just kind of scanning stuff and see what we could find. And we came across these mason jars. And it was almost like too good to be true. Like, the price was insane. Like, we were buying stuff for like $3-4 and selling on Amazon for $20-25. So quickly, I kind of shifted away from books, and I got my first sale in July, like selling books. And by August, with me selling the mason jars and stuff, I made more money than I did at my job. So like that August, that next month. So right away, I saw the opportunity of what could be possible. I wasn't crazy enough to quit my job right away, but I was like, okay, let's see if this keeps up. And then every month I kept making more and more money. And by December, I sent my resignation letter, and I've been full-time ever since.
That's so awesome. That's such a great story.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So started off books, because I'm assuming that's what your cousin was doing.
Yeah. Started off with books.
And then transitioned into retail arbitrage.
Mm-hmm.
Had some banger RA products, which
yeah.
I mean, so you said buying for $4, selling for 25. So what, you were profiting $10, $15?
Yeah, bro. The margins were insane. I think during that first year, like, my margin must have been like 25% or something like that. Like, it was crazy.
That's wild. Yeah. And then were you able to buy that product over and over again? Like, the store kept restocking, or what was that like?
Yeah, bro. So for the first year, like 75% of my store were mason jars, because what happened is there were so many different variations. There's like a 16 ounce, a 32 ounce, a 64 ounce, and there's different package. There's like a pack of 2, a pack of 4 for each of them. And then they were also selling the lids. There was the wide mouth lids, the regular mouth lids, the leak. So there was like 30 different, I was on 30 different listings of mason jars. And it was like that for a whole year during COVID. Like, and Walmart had them, Target, Publix, Ace Hardware. They were everywhere. So in our local
That's
town,
crazy.
whenever like every week, we would just go and just clean house.
That's crazy. So were you doing in-store pickups or just going to the store and just seeing what they had and clearing the shelves?
I was clearing the shelves because sometimes I realize when you do in-store pickup, it's not always accurate because sometimes they'll have stuff and online it will say it's out of stock. So I would always go in store. Plus, I kind of was kind of skeptical. I didn't really want the people to see that I'm clearing out the shelves too. So I was like, to be safe, I'm gonna just go in there and get everything and be out.
That's crazy. And were you FBAing or FBMing them?
Majority in the beginning, I was FBM because
Okay.
they were selling so fast. Like
Right.
things were selling out before I could even get them.
That's crazy. That's
Did you
crazy.
have any
Yeah.
issues with like them like breaking and stuff like that? I know a lot of people say like don't sell glass or don't sell anything like that. Like, what were your thoughts?
Well, so with the lids, I was FBMing. With the glass, I was FBA. I was doing that FBA.
Gotcha. That's really cool. So
Yeah.
so maybe let's walk us through like what your revenue looked like over the years that you've been selling since 2020.
Yeah. So 2020, we sold for about 4 months, 5 months, I believe. And we did around 200,000 in 2020. 2021, we had a full year. I believe we did 700,000. 2022, we did 1 million. 2023, we did 1.4 with 2023 last year. Yeah, we did 1.4. And this year we should more than double that easily.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Now, like, what kind of like, now that's like pretty like great growth over time. Like, explain to us how you got that growth over time. Does that come from just like selling more mason jars and going more around, or like how did that come about?
Yeah, so we really benefited from the mason jars, but during COVID. But once COVID kind of, because during that time they had a shortage, but once COVID kind of went away and they stopped having the shortage, it really didn't make sense anymore. But I would contribute a lot of the growth to just being consistent, just being consistent and just more experience as well. As the longer you're in this game, you just learn more things, and also just networking, meeting new people, and just sharing ideas and stuff like that. That's what, and also having more capital, as you, that helps too. Because
Yeah,
you
for
get
sure.
more money, you reinvest in the business, and that also helps.
For sure, for sure. Now, what kind of business model are you doing? Like, are you doing, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale? What's like your main bread and butter now?
Nowadays, we're like 99% wholesale for the most part. So yeah, because I feel like we've kind of did everything. We started with books, we transitioned to RA, then we transitioned to OA, and then now we're like mainly wholesale.
Cool. That's really cool. Now, do you specifically just run your business, or do you have any partners or anything?
It's just me. I don't have any partners, and I just have a few people that I hired part-time to prep for me.
Okay.
But outside of that, it's just me, man. I don't have any VAs or anything. It's just me for the most part.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Now,
Yeah.
explain to us like, sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
So you said just you. Are you sourcing all the catalogs yourself and just manually scraping them, or like, because that's a time sink.
It does take time. I do source, yeah, catalogs myself.
Man.
That's crazy. I don't know if I'd have the patience for that. That's a lot.
Yeah, I'll probably hire somebody, I guess, to do it in the future. But a lot of times, the suppliers that I've been working with, I have good relationship with, they kind of have an idea of what I'm looking for. So a lot of time, it won't even be a catalog. They'll just send me a list that has like 10, 15 products. And yeah, it's pretty fast to go through 10, 15 products. So yeah, so a lot of times, the things they know I wouldn't be interested in, like they wouldn't even send them to me in the first place. So it's not a big list.
Gotcha. Interesting. That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah.
So when you first started, it wasn't like that. When you first started, you had to have been just cooking through catalogs for hours on end before you were able to build that relationship with the supplier, and then they knew what you wanted and you knew what you wanted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, you say you have no VAs, right?
Yeah, I don't have any.
Okay, gotcha. Now how did you like amass the capital that you have now? Did you do any like, fundraising? Did you go to any lenders? Did you use mainly credit cards? How did that work?
Yeah, for majority of the time, I've just been using credit cards. Recently during Q4, I got a line of credit from Chase that really helped out a lot. So yeah, so that's mainly been it, credit cards, and I got a line of credit from Chase, and also just using my own personal cash, just really reinvesting in the business, reinvesting my profits.
Sure. Now, can you walk us through, or again, if you don't want to, that's totally cool. Do you have a certain credit card stack that you like to use to maximize rewards, or do you kind of just use, whatever works for you?
Yeah, so I have a couple of credit cards. My favorite one, the one that I use the most, is the Chase Business Inc. I always get the names mixed up, but it's the one that gets you 2.5% if you spend over 5K.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, so that's the one that I use the most. But I have a couple other ones from Chase. I have the Spark, and I also have the Plum. But my favorite, the one that I use the most, is the Chase Business Inc. or Premier Inc. That one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now,
awesome.
I know a lot of people have talked about with that card, it takes a while to get the limit up because they kind of put a hard limit, and they're not like Amex is pretty good with just letting you spend a lot off the rip. But I've heard that Chase is kind of the opposite. Was that the case for you? And if so, how long did it take before you had a limit that actually was useful for you?
Well, with that Chase card, it's not like, I think the limit for that card is like a 50K. It's not like super high, but it's kind of like a middle of the pack. I mean, it gets the job done for me most of the time. Yeah, I think, yeah, that's probably about the highest limit that I have on my credit card. I don't have like a crazy amount.
Yeah. I mean, if you're spending 50K a month, that's, about $100 grand in sales. So that's substantial.
Yeah. So recently I did like a PO that was like 130,000. And what I did, I just sent out 50K, paid it off, sent out 50K again. It was a bit tedious because it goes over a course of a couple of days. But that's pretty much how I use it, because that card is a paid in full, so you kind of have to have the money. But I just kind of use it to get the points, and I just went through Melio.
Okay. Yeah.
Got it. Makes sense. And I'm assuming that was a supplier you've been working with, so they were okay with you splitting up the payments.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I basically told them that I have the money. It's just my bank won't allow me to just wire 130K in one shot. That's past my limit. So I feel like that's pretty understandable. They kind of had no choice.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then kind of staying on this finance topic for a second. So you said you quit your job December 2020. That's when you put in your resignation.
Yeah.
And then at that point, so I'm assuming you quit your job and you started paying yourself. With your margins being so high, did you ever run into any cash flow issues as you were taking money out of the business? Because it's one thing to reinvest all your profits when you're buying more inventory, but then it's another thing to take money out and still have enough money to keep growing. So how was that experience?
Yeah, so I was basically taking money out of the business just for like basic necessities and stuff. For the most part, I was reinvesting everything. So honestly, I never really ran into like cash flow problems until like a few months ago during Q4. For the most part, everything has kind of just been pretty smooth.
Gotcha. And then that's where that line of credit came into play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Love it.
Now, did you contact Chase at all in terms of like trying to get your limits up at all? Are you in like talks with them, or kind of the card just kind of worked for itself and just was raised over time?
No, so whenever I first applied for that card, they just gave me 50.
Okay.
Right off the bat. I haven't asked for any increase or anything.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's the next card that we have to apply for. We've kind of been good with the stack that we have now.
What do you guys have?
Use Amex Gold, Amex Plum, and Capital One Spark.
Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah. So between those three, we've had pretty much enough to spend what we need to spend. But the 2.5% on the Chase sounds really nice.
It's pretty nice, man. Pretty nice.
Yeah. Okay. So transitioning a little bit, what are your goals? You kind of already talked about like your goals, revenue number. I think you wanted to do double what you did last year. So that's around 3 mil for 2024.
Well, I say we do at least, so that's a good question, because coming into the year, I was being very aggressive. My goal was 5 mil, if I'm being honest. And that's very aggressive, because my mindset was, shoot for the moon if you land among the stars. Is that, or
Yeah.
is it the
Yeah,
inverse?
shoot for the stars, and
Shoot
if you
for the
miss, you'll land
stars.
on the moon.
Yeah, you land on the moon. Yeah. So that was kind of my goal. But with I've kind of been having second thought because I don't know how big I really want to grow the business, because I'm at a point where I feel like we're doing pretty nice profit and I'm pretty, comfortable with that. So my goal has been to get it to a point where we can consistently profit like 30K a month. And honestly, beyond that, like I don't know if I have if I'm super aggressive in terms of trying to grow it past that. I feel like I'll be content with that and just work on systems to kind of work myself out of the business more and kind of have it run on autopilot. And I can kind of like work on other projects and other stuff.
Okay. So you said, so two things there that I picked up. You want 30K profit a month, and then you want to work yourself out of the business. So let's press on both of those. So the 30K profit per month, how close are you to doing that now? And how, with the suppliers you have and the margins you're working with, how much do you need to spend a month to hit that 30K profit?
Yeah. So we've been pretty close. I mean, the past couple of months we did like over 26. Yeah. Over 26,000. So we're not going to hit 30K this month. It's a short month and we had a few delays and supplies and stuff like that. But next month, I think should be our biggest month. I think if everything goes well, with Amazon, you never know wild things be happening. But if all goes well, I think we should hit it. If I carry about $250,000 worth of inventory, about $250,000 worth of inventory, and let's say I can sell through about 60%. About 60% of that, which is about 150,000 worth of inventory. If my cost of goods sold is 50% of my revenue, then I should be able to hit about 300,000 in revenue for the month. And worst case scenario, if I net 10% after all on 300,000 revenue, I should profit 30K.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That those numbers add up. But I wanted you to break that down, just for the people who are in a place where they're thinking about starting this business, or they've just started and they want to grow it to a point where they can replace a 9-to-5 that pays them well. They can support themselves or support a family as well. Like kind of having those numbers in your head to realize, like, one, okay, that's a lot of inventory you got to carry. But two, you can get to that point in a few years. Like for you, it's been a little bit over 3 years, and you're at a point now where you're going to have a business that's doing 2 million, 3 million with really good profit margins, where you can take money out but continue to grow. So I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, that would be great, man. And another thing as well is just generating free cash flow, because with Amazon, you make a lot of profit, but a lot of times it feels like you have to keep on reinvesting that money for the business to keep growing and stuff. One of my goals is not only to be able to make that much, but to be able to pull out like a large chunk of it and still have the business be steady. Because if I'm running a lean business, if I can do 30K, there's no, in my head, I feel like there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to take a bulk of it out and still steady maintain what I did the previous month. I won't be growing tremendously, but I should be able to maintain a steady pace, which is the goal for me.
Yeah,
no, I love that. That's sick.
Yeah, that's super cool, and I think it's totally achievable too.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of like plans, or like, I guess this would be like part 2 of what Cajua was saying. Like, how do you plan to work yourself out of the business, and what strategies do you want to implement to do so?
Yeah. I guess kind of like what we spoke about earlier, just probably having a VA, someone who make those purchasing decisions for me, and also maybe having someone in-house who knows how to create shipments and stuff like that. That way I don't have to do it, because I do have people that helps me prep, but a lot of times I'm still there and managing them, telling them what to do, doing the shipments and stuff like that. So if I can have someone that knows how to create the shipments and that can kind of handle all of that stuff, that those two things would help out a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, are you like really niched down, or would you say You're pretty like general in the categories that you sell.
We're heavy into beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Have you had any issues there? Because there was a big Section 3 wave of emails going out in the fall and now too. And for those who don't know, Section 3, I forget exactly what the title of it is, but essentially, if an Amazon seller receives a Section 3 subject line email, that means that Amazon thinks you're selling counterfeit goods or something like that, and they're going to suspend your account until you can get that removed. And there was a lot of that going on in the beauty category. So did you run into any IP issues at all, being so heavy in beauty?
Yeah, so I haven't run into that in particular, but honestly, it has kind of been at the back of my mind. So I've been considering maybe, maybe not being 100% all in on beauty and having some other stuff as well. But with beauty, it's kind of tough because it feels like it's always something. Like every year they're shutting down brands and shutting down ASINs or something is always happening. It happened last year because we were selling a lot of It Cosmetics, and then we had to remove like $4,000 or $5,000 worth of It Cosmetics. And it happened again this year with Clinique, which we had like a bunch of Clinique. We still have like 10,000 worth of Clinique at a place that we need to find a way to liquidate for the most part. So unfortunately, it's part of the game, but it has made me think about it a little bit. And I think honestly, that's part of the reason why I'm not so motivated to grow it that much past that. I don't want to have all my net worth. I feel like right now, most of my net worth is tied to Amazon for the most part. And as I grow, I don't feel like it's a necessity anymore. Maybe when I first started, it was like, okay, all in, reinvest. But if I can do like 30K profit, I feel like there's other things that I can also do. I don't have to be all in on Amazon anymore.
Yeah. And that's huge. Just diversifying.
Yeah, 100%. And so you've mentioned a couple times that you have some people who help you prep part-time. Are you doing all prep in-house, using a prep center at all? Like, what's that setup?
Yeah. Majority of our prep are in-house. Sometimes some suppliers will ship directly to Amazon for us, which we leverage whenever we can. But outside of that, majority of our prep is in-house. The things that we ship out, they're very easy to prep. A lot of times you just have to slap a label on it, so it's very easy. And some of our suppliers are also local. So as opposed to having a local supplier ship it to a prep center to prep and then do all of that, like I can drive an hour, pick it up, and then we can prep it and get it out in like a day or two. So I usually prefer doing it that way.
That's massive. Yeah, that's huge. Just to turn that money around just that much faster. You don't have to wait for them to ship it out and then to be prepped and then to be sent back out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's huge. That's huge. Now, I really wanted to ask you a question. So besides Amazon, obviously you want to diversify. If you had all the time in the world and you have your Amazon automated, where would you go next? What are the next steps?
Yeah. So I'm really interested in real estate, right? Okay. So that's something that I want to get into. Really start investing into real estate. Outside of that, I do invest in stuff like stocks and crypto. I love investing in general, so probably real estate and just investing.
Okay, cool. Now, do you go like single family, like multifamily? What, like, is there like something that interests you?
Yeah, there? I've kind of been intrigued by multifamily.
Okay,
yeah. It's just tough though, because I'm in Florida and everything here is super expensive. Like the most basic home is, it's like super expensive. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you more like would you buy and flip or buy, hold, and rent?
I've kind of been interested in Airbnb.
Okay.
But I know the market is not like what it used to be. But I would say Airbnb or buy, hold, and rent. I don't think I'm that skilled to do a flip. I would need a lot of help.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ready for that. Yeah.
That's funny. All right. Well, now jumping back to Amazon a little bit, let's talk about how coaching has helped you on your journey to become a 7-figure seller.
Yeah. Coaching. So currently I do wholesale. I never really had never really did coaching for wholesale in particular, but I just think just being around other people who are doing similar things, that helps out a lot. And even more recently, me and Kaj we're part of a group that has helped out a lot. I feel like even me mentioning getting the line of credit from Chase, that happened because of Jamar, who's part of the group, and he made that suggestion, and then he had a connection, and I hit up the guy, and it was a very quick and smooth process. I got approved, and within like a week, they gave me $125,000 in my account that I can spend to buy products. That wouldn't be possible without me being part of that group and me being tied to the community. So I think that has helped out a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. I just feel like there's a lot of people out there who really criticize on coaching, but like me and Kaj, we've done a couple coaching programs, and man, just once you do it, it's just, I feel like it's just exponential growth from there. Implementing what you're learning. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. Because I see new people who start selling on Amazon now, and things that took me a year or 2 years to achieve, and they're doing it in like 6 months because they bought a program and they know everything right off the bat. And they're doing 200K in 6 months. And it's crazy.
I know, literally so crazy. So crazy.
It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, it took us, 3-4 years before we really realized what was possible, just because we weren't in the community, and we didn't even, we literally, it's so, if you don't think it's possible, you're not even going to take the action necessary to get those goals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we were doing, private label and a little bit of retail arbitrage, but we were just thinking too small. And then once we got in the community, and learned the sauce from people who were way ahead of us, it was like, oh shoot, you can really scale this.
Yeah, because it took us 2 years to do 100K a month. So.
That's crazy. Now, was your Amazon experience all smooth sailing, or was there a time where you're like, man, I don't know if this is gonna work out?
Yeah. Well, there was a period of times where we had to transition. As I mentioned, that very first year, we were doing mainly RA. And honestly, our business was very one-dimensional because we relied very heavily on just going to the stores and just buying those mason jars. And when that kind of went away, there was a period of time where our sales struggled and our margins struggled. So that's when we made the transition to doing more OA, online arbitrage. We did that for a little bit, but even with doing OA, after a while, I realized we had to transition as well, because the type of products we were carrying, there were high returns, and we were using a prep center, and it became a lot to manage because you realize there's a lot of leakage, things would get lost in the prep center, things will, so ultimately I realized I had to transition from that as well. And we transitioned to wholesale, and we're here today. So those were our two biggest transitions.
Gotcha. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, where can people find you on the internet?
Cinor Investments. Cinor is my last name, and investments. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. I think I'm on TikTok as well. I mainly post. I'm more active on Instagram, so that's the main place I would say for people to find me.
Great, yeah, and we'll plug your socials in the description as well.
Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rudy, thank you for being with us, and we will see you on the next one.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.